So GT40 is the best War Alliance pretty much ever, right? They are War Champion every other season, if not just every season straight up. Like last season they didn't win it, and that was the first time that has happened in about 6 or 7 seasons. So that is just truly insane. So GT40 is by far the toughest opponent, so we have to bring our best, and that includes me obviously, so I can't make any mistakes here, and I have to play ideally pretty fast because the deciding factor on a tie in Alliance War is fight time. So you really want to be as fast as possible because usually Salty versus GT40 ends in like a 0-0 draw. So yeah, it's a very scary war for us. And thankfully Moleman is of course one of the fastest attackers in the game, and that right there is about 10 seconds in total. So that really helps the fight time for sure. But then here is where I start throwing completely. I was just really mad at myself after this war because I just didn't play these fights well in the slightest. I played most of them terribly. I was just so slow, and Silk is a fast champion, so that's why I am mad, because this shouldn't happen. It should be a really fast fight here, but I play it terribly, so it's like over a minute or something. But yeah, this Dragon Man has, I think, long distance relationship and steady build up fury, which is not hard for Silk, but the weakness is very annoying to deal with, and it does gimp the damage a ton. So that was like one issue here, but I could have played it better anyway to just minimize the weaknesses, but I just didn't do that, so I just messed up big time. But yeah, Silk is just such a strong attacker for the most part. She is one of the most common bans in Alliance War, and whenever that happens, I get pretty nervous because Silk is my strongest decay attacker, and if I don't have Silk, then I have to use Quicksilver. And if you saw what happened last war, Quicksilver is a great champion and really safe, but in my hands, I just don't know what I'm doing, I guess. So whenever Silk is banned, I'm just in a panic, but thankfully she was not banned this war, which is great because GT40 is the toughest war for us, so me not having that much pressure feels pretty dang good. So here I dropped the SP3 just to get that extra damage going, and the fight is now pretty much over after this combo string. So it was over a minute. It could have been like 30 seconds to be honest, so I did mess up big time there, but it is what it is. I'm just still a bit upset about it though, to be honest. And now we have the Spider Ham, and this Spider Ham was also a slower fight than usual. This is usually like a 17-second fight or something similar, but here I do it in like 23, which isn't the biggest time difference, but every second matters against GT40. So I was a bit upset about it for sure, and I got hit too, so there is that. But that was a pro strat because Moleman gets increased damage output whenever he's at low health, so that was just a planned move, not lying in the slightest. That is just the straight up truth, right? But this fight is over now. That was, like I said, 22 seconds. Could have been better for sure, but it's fine. 21 seconds actually. But now we have this Silk versus Claire, and this one I'm pretty proud of because I got it done pretty fast. So Clairvoyant on this node is pretty much permanently unblockable. So if it was like an ascended rank 5 Claire, it would be a pretty scary matchup, right? But it's just a rank 4 Claire, so I'm not really too worried about it because rank 2 Silk kind of just outstats her, so that is very nice. I love rank 2 attackers. I love rank 4 defenders, but rank 5 or rank 2 defenders, no thank you. But yeah, this fight goes by really fast here because Claire doesn't have that much health in the first place, so I dropped the SP2, and that just ends the fight in about 20 something seconds. Pretty nice stuff overall. So that boosted my confidence for this Kindred matchup, but this Kindred matchup is no easy matchup. It is one of the best Kindred placements out there because it has ebb and flow knockdown and right back at it. So right back at it means whenever he is knocked down, he goes debuff immune for 8 seconds. And with decay, to bypass his damage over time, you want to have debuffs on him, but with right back at it, you can't inflict debuffs on him. So it is a very smart placement, and I was pretty scared because of that reason. So I start the fight by knocking him down just to get the Fury buff active, and after that I can just do my damage. I'm not getting any debuffs though, obviously, which is fine. And there I messed up because I want to go in and try to pause the charges, right? But I couldn't do it there, so I just had to regroup, and I'm like, you know what? Let's try it here, and I get it there, thankfully, which is perfect because that pause is really useful for stopping the Nightmare Outbreak. And that is the game plan for Kindred, just want to do that. But then there I mess up, and I just played that wrong completely. Massive blunder on my end, but it's fine. I just take it slow, and I'm gonna let Nightmare Outbreak occur because I'm just gonna not knock him down, and I'm gonna place the debuffs on him to bypass the damage from it. So there I have the debuffs, and I bypass the damage, which is perfect. And now I can just play it slow and not knock him down, so I can keep the debuffs active to keep that res up as well. And once that Nightmare Outbreak is done, I can just go back in and start over pretty much. So yeah, a rough middle here, but then I get the groove of it and it goes by a lot faster, thankfully. So here I just dropped the SP3, which just lets me regroup, which is really what I need right now because yeah, the fight has been pretty rough so far. But now I can just go in after the stun, and this is perfect, just doing some decent damage, which is what I need right now. And so far so good now, things have regrouped for sure. Here he drops the SP1, I use the strategy, I get the pause there thankfully, and now I'm pretty confident that the fight is in my control. So I knock him down again, he drops the SP1, and I get hit again. I just didn't have the spacing, so I really messed up in that regard. But the fight is now pretty much over anyway, so no big deal. He's at the 5% phase, and I dropped the special to remove the root, which is what you want to do versus Kindred. And the fight is now over, thankfully. A really bad fight on my end, and a really slow fight for sure, but hey, I didn't, give a death to it, so I'll take it. But yeah, that fight is now done, and the last fight here is this Falter, Missing in Action, and Power Efficiency Mysterio. Pretty scary matchup, but Silk is just Silk, man, so she really doesn't care. So the game plan here is to just knock him down ASAP because whenever he is knocked down by a Spider-Verse hero, his helmet cracks. And then afterwards, I can just build to the SP3, drop the SP3, get her little stun loop going, and then that'll be game over pretty much. That was the game plan, and it goes pretty decently at least. Here I dropped the heavy attack to knock him down, which removes the helmet, which is perfect. That was part of the plan. Here he drops the SP1, which is fine, but take a look at his power, because power efficiency makes him super annoying on this node because he just has the constant special attacks activating, and it is not a fun time in the slightest, but he still goes down pretty well. Silk just has a ton of base damage, so that's perfect. Here he drops the SP2, and look at that power, man. He's still back at 1 bar of power, which is super annoying, and that's why he is such a great placement on this node. But doesn't matter, we're just gonna take it slow here, right? Just not force anything and just try to get to the SP3 and then drop the SP3 and then try to end the fight that way. So here I go in, I drop a combo into the relic stun, and then I drop the SP3, which does some pretty good damage. And things are looking pretty good here now, man. And this fight is just about wrapped up because check out this sequence that is about to happen. This is why Silk is just so overpowered, man. So we drop a combo. Look at the damage there. That is just insane. The heavy attack wasn't even necessary because he was down already. That is how good Silk is, man. That's how you play her correctly. So that was a pretty good fight on my end and a good way to end the war, and the results are still pending for if we won or not, so we'll have to see about that. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this war. A very stressful one because GT40 is the toughest Alliance War opponent out there, so I was very nervous for my fights, but hey, we got it done, we survived thankfully, and yeah, that's about it for me.